If you hosted a friend, would it make you the jerk for sending them a bill afterwards? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for bringing up the fact people brought up concerns about my brother's daughter when he remarried? My brother lost his first wife when their daughter Thea, 19-year-old female, was 6. Before the death of his first wife, they also had a stillborn daughter together. This was 2 years before my brother's late wife passed away. So they went through a lot, and my brother struggled with both losses happening so fast. But Thea was really close to her mom and had a hard time with not having her around. When my brother met his current wife Denise, Thea was 7. They got married when Thea was 9. I, along with my parents, had mentioned to my brother that Thea didn't look happy with the upcoming wedding and his relationship with Denise. She wasn't being mean or acting out, but we could see she kept an emotional distance from Denise and her smiles looked forced. Of course, she had lost her mom, so it made sense, but we figured my brother should know and could probably help her, but he said she wasn't saying anything and therefore was fine. Every photo Thea was in at the wedding, she had a very fake smile and there was no joy or happiness in it. She was going through the motions. It was the same when her first half-sibling was born 5 months later. She never held her, but any photos with them she did not have a happy smile. And she was not an adoring big sister like others described her as. Any photos with her half-siblings and Denise, she looks downright uncomfortable and the smile is so strained. My parents and I had mentioned this to my brother a couple of times each after he remarried, but again, because Thea said nothing, it was considered fine. The only time he took it any way seriously is when a relative visited 2-ish years ago. He saw some photos from my brother's second wedding and mentioned how clear it was Thea was faking her smile. My brother was sort of like, "What?" This relative would not know Thea well, but still picked up on it. Denise told me the same day that Thea never let her in and she didn't think Thea cared much for her and the kids. Now that Thea's a college student, she's living on her own and she's put some distance between herself and them. My brother wanted her to come for a 10th wedding anniversary family dinner and she told him she had no interest in celebrating his second wedding, which shocked him. She also told him she was spending Christmas with her friends this year. But then he learned that she was planning to stop by to see our parents for at least one day. He confided in me about this and how upset he is that she's got these feelings and how much of a shock it was. He also said Denise told him she doesn't believe Thea loves her or the kids at all. And this might make me the jerk, but I brought up the fact that our parents and I had told him a few times already and he brushed us off. He told me I was great at being supportive and thanks for nothing. There's been a chill between us since then. Am I the jerk? So just personally, I don't really see anything that would make OP the jerk here. It's not like OP over-inserted themselves here or something and told them, "Listen, you have to parent the kid this way." They pointed out some concerns they had, and then after it all melted down, they said, "Hey, I did have those concerns." Just because they're upset about it and understand it now doesn't make OP the jerk. Apartscene9059 commented, "Info, curious if you told him for years, why did neither you or your parents ever speak to Thea regarding her feelings? I mean, you noticed it, right? So why did you ignore it?" OP responded saying, "I did once. She said a couple of things, but then we got interrupted and she stopped and she told me to forget it. My parents and I had hoped that we could get through to my brother so she could get professional help because we didn't feel equipped to do more given what happened. And there weren't chances for me to get her to open up where we wouldn't be interrupted again, which I knew that was going to be a barrier to her opening up. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my great aunt to freak off after invading my and my infant daughter's privacy again? For context, I'm 26 and my daughter is 4.5 months. I live in my childhood home and my great aunt rents the house next door. We call her Peaches. She's notoriously nosy, always in someone's business, and loud. She had a key to our house because while it was vacant, my dad asked her to check on the house. We've had issues ever since I moved back last year of her walking right in the front door without knocking. After repeatedly asking/telling her to not come in without a heads up or permission, I thought it was getting better. After I got really ticked off about that, she apologized and told me she would never do it again and she wanted me to trust her. Fast forward 2 months and I go out of town with my mom. I have a camera set up pointed at my bed so I can watch my baby and I sleep while I choose to co-sleep. Since I only use it for that / monitoring naps, I never have the notifications on. When I got home after the trip, I noticed the camera had shifted. I grabbed my phone to look over the footage. I'm scrolling, and then I see Peaches in my room. She beelines straight for my bed, grabs a towel I had hanging, and covers my camera. Then I hear shuffling and multiple cabinets opening and closing. My room is like a mini apartment with a kitchen and everything. I hear her moving things around and who knows what. About 10 minutes later, she flings the towel off the camera and walks out of the room and leaves. Oh my gosh, I was livid. As an only child, someone being in my space absolutely infuriates me. We live out in the middle of nowhere. I should not have to get home in the dark with my baby and then feel completely vulnerable to know that someone was not only in my house, but the room I live in without my knowledge or consent. So I call her, and at first, she completely denies it. I said, dude, I can see you on the camera. Then she told me she was looking for the beer I told her she could have from the main kitchen fridge. Then she's like, but I didn't even end up taking the beer. I told her, yeah, I know, they're still in the fridge. Why wouldn't you just ask me and I'd say, sure, go get them? And she's like, well, I knew you were out of town. I lay into her and say, why would you think that's okay? And if that's true, what were you doing going through my stuff? She couldn't offer a reason and said that she wasn't thinking. She's the kind of person that needs help with stuff often, like asks for a favor a day. I have always been happy to help her. Then I find out she's talking crap about me, and then this. She's like, please don't kick me out of my house. I'm not going to kick someone out of their house, but it sure is freaking unnerving to be living right next to someone with no respect for your boundaries. So I basically told her to freak off about me and my daughter. She hasn't apologized again, but has tried to have other conversations, but I won't let them get far. We've had conversations regarding my privacy for over a year. Am I the jerk for this, even though she adores my daughter? OP's not the jerk here. They're not in the least bit remorseful, and at the very least, somebody could have the decency to admit what they were doing because obviously they were caught. There's no sneaking around even if you threw a towel or a blanket or whatever over the camera. Them saying, well, I just wasn't thinking. That's a load of whatever noun you'd like to insert there. Love Beach 8 commented, not the jerk. Get a lock on your door. Ask for the locks to be changed in the house as well. She obviously can't be trusted. She had no business covering your camera and looking through your room. That's such a violation of privacy. She has abused her privileges and I wouldn't even talk to her anymore if I were you. As far as seeing your baby, I wouldn't for a while. Who knows what she's capable of, especially if she's been drinking or wants revenge. OP responded saying, that's what I worry about too, is she's a recovering alcoholic. She's two-faced as well, and I seriously genuinely worry for our safety, but my mom keeps saying she's harmless and just dumb, like a learning handicap or something. But she isn't dumb enough to go straight for the camera and cover it, and then lie when I ask her about it. I demanded the key back, which she gave me. I want to put up Ring doorbells too, I just can't afford it right now. I stay home most days and she's home from noon on. I see her walking her dogs and she sees me around now too. Today, she asked me to use my lawnmower. I was so caught off guard. Like, no. This next story is, am I the jerk for encouraging my aunt to help my backstabbing sister instead of trying to make me do it? My sister, 26-year-old female, and I, 27-year-old female, have not spoken in 7 years after she got pregnant with my then boyfriend's child. I had been dating him for 5 years and he talked about us getting married, which my sister knew. She told me about their affair publicly and did so in a way that made it seem like she was trying to paint me as some awful person for being with her unborn child's father instead of acknowledging the fact that he was my partner who she slept with. He called it off with her after I broke up with him and he wanted me back. My sister then wanted to make amends and I told both of them I never wanted to see their faces again. My sister tried to play the family card and the innocent child, her baby, card. Then she tried to play the we have crappy parents card, claiming we needed each other. I told her I didn't need another terrible person in my life and she was as dead to me as our parents are. Our aunt was someone who did look out for us when she realized we had crappy parents. She wasn't very involved, but was the only family we really had. She hated what happened between us, but never said much about it. My sister and ex got back together and they had another kid and stayed together until last year or something. He ended up freaking her over and leaving her without a place to stay. She was also dumb to rely entirely on him. She lost her job during this too. She reached out to our aunt to find out if I could help her. My aunt told me my sister was homeless, jobless, and her kids had nothing going for them. I told her it wasn't my problem. In response, I got a voicemail my aunt forwarded on of my sister crying and apologizing and saying she really loves and misses me, and she hates that she's hurt me and that she needs me more than ever, and she just wants her big sister right now because her life's a mess. I told my aunt it wasn't my problem anymore. My aunt dug deep to try and change my mind, and she's told me multiple times I should step up as a sister. I told her I have no plans to help that backstabber. My aunt said we were all each other had for years and that should count for something. I told her it shouldn't have, but didn't. My aunt pointed out I'm engaged to a wonderful guy and we're doing well for ourselves and have built a nice life together, and I should reconcile with my sister and do better. I encouraged her to help my backstabber of a sister instead of trying to make me do it, since she never wronged her and she's actually concerned about her. I told her it would be far more helpful. My aunt told me I sounded like our parents, and I told her if it was like our parents, my sister would never have thought for a single second she could even try to reach out to me. My aunt made it clear she thought less of me for my stance. Am I the jerk? OP's pretty darn consistent here. They got hurt extremely badly, they were very unapologetic, and let's be real here, it just sounds like they want OP back in their life so they can mooch off of them and have OP prop them up for the future. OP's not the jerk for being as consistent as anybody can be in this story. Lemon Charlie commented, "Not the jerk. You cleaned your hands of your sister and your ex. You have no responsibility to help her. For your sister to pull the 'we have crappy parents' card was hypocritical of her considering how her own baby was conceived and the spin she put on it making you the bad guy. You're protecting yourself from someone who's hurt you." OP responded saying, "Yep. It's also the fact that we both had crappy parents, but I did my best to be there and protect her, and I'm not years older than her, so it was more insulting to me because I was a kid going through that too, only I didn't have an older sister to help me." Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to teach a kid how to swim? I, 23-year-old female, go to a swimming pool once or twice a week. It's a way for me to do physical exercise and to take my mind off school or just life in general. The pool that I go to has two pools, one for fun and one for real swimming, if you see what I mean. The real pool has two different sides, one where people swim seriously and one where people learn how to swim. I normally go to the serious part. You aren't supposed to stop in the serious one, or to go if you can't swim well because it's pretty deep, 3 to 4 meters I think. Yesterday I was swimming as I usually do, and at some point I start doing backstroke. At one point, I feel my hand hitting something, so I turn back to see what it was, and I see a kid that was about 6 or 7. I apologize for hitting him because I didn't see him and tell him that he's not supposed to stop in this lane because other people might hit him too. As I talk to him, I notice that he isn't swimming really well and is struggling a lot. I decide to get out of the pool with him and look for his parents. After looking around the pool for a while, I find his mother. At this pool, if you're accompanying a child, you can get in for free if you don't swim, and that's what the mom did, so she wasn't swimming and was waiting while looking on her phone. I told her that she should look after her son because it was pretty dangerous for him to be in such a deep pool when he couldn't swim very well and that he could get hit by other swimmers. She looked at me a bit annoyed. She said, "It's okay, he's just a kid." I told her that I wasn't upset at him and that I was just concerned for his safety. She told me that if I was so concerned when I saw a child struggling to swim, I could have helped him and taught him. I simply said that it wasn't my role, but she sort of insisted, said that she saw me swimming pretty often and asked that I teach her son. I told her that I wouldn't because 1, I'm not a swimming instructor, I have 0 training for this. 2, I don't want to be responsible for the boy's life. If anything happens, that's on me and that's more pressure than I want. 3, I'm not getting paid to do that. And 4, I come here to relax, not teach kids. She told me that it wasn't nice that I wasn't helping her because she couldn't teach her son. She can't swim, and I was a good swimmer, so it wasn't difficult for me. I know that I could have helped and maybe at least taught him the basics for like an hour, and a part of me thinks that I should have, but also I had my reasons for refusing. I'm not sure if that makes me a bad person or not. Am I the jerk? So, if you go to the public swimming pool because you want to relax and just swim around a little bit, it doesn't make you the jerk for not taking on this charity case and teaching a random kid how to swim. And to be fair, kind of like OP's alluding to, it's probably better if an actual licensed person teaches that kid anyways. Let alone, obviously, the liability and the parents saying, well, they were watching my kids, so if anything happened, they were liable. It's also partly, with this random stranger, is that truly the best way for them to try to figure out how to swim? Kaneko commented, not the jerk. Let the lifeguard/pool do their job. Inform them that an unsupervised minor is struggling to swim, blocking the swim lane, and creating hazards for himself and others. A disappointed kid is better than a dead one. Crap mom can get off her phone long enough to learn that lesson without having to watch her kid go through CPR. Been there, done that 57 replied, I wish I could upvote this 10 times. Please tell the lifeguard. You definitely don't want to get involved with this woman. You're going to end up babysitting this kid and attacked by the mom if anything goes wrong. Our next story is, am I the jerk for choosing to celebrate my birthday with my mom and her boyfriend instead of my dad and his family? My parents divorced when I, 15-year-old male, was 2. My mom's had a boyfriend since I was 6. Dad got married when I was 8. My dad has a stepson, 11, and his birthday is 2 days before mine. So when Dad first got married again, he made us have a joint birthday party and made a huge deal out of my mom doing something as big or bigger. He said she should let him take care of those parties and that she should celebrate with me alone. Instead of making it a fight, she would take me and my best friend to do something to celebrate. My half-sister was born on my 10th birthday, and she was added to the joint celebration at Dad's. They made a very big deal about us being birthday twins, and my dad's wife got on my butt about me not being happy about it. I hated that she was born on my birthday and now had to share with both my stepbrother and half-sister. She told me we're all siblings and I should love sharing with my little sister. She said I wouldn't be as upset if she was a full sister, but that was poop and I should embrace having a sibling who shares my birthday and shouldn't make a big deal out of it because she's half. I don't have fun celebrating with my dad's family. The parties are more for my half-sister and stepbrother than me, and really, I feel like everyone makes a bigger deal out of us having the same birthday and birthdays so close together. We get so many photos taken together, and Dad's wife is always criticizing the fact that I'm not hugging them or kissing them or holding my half-sister or being silly and loving to them in the photos. She says I look so cold and like we're not actual siblings. I rolled my eyes at her one year and she told me it hurts the kids and not her, so I should be better. Dad doesn't care about her saying this stuff. I talked to Mom about it and she agreed to throw me a party this year, like a real one. We invited all my friends over and she got a huge bounce house with a water slide attachment and she bought huge, and really huge, water guns and set it up where me and my friends could have a blast. She also set up the basement for a games night sleepover too. It was the best birthday I had in years. I always preferred celebrating with Mom, but she threw a party I enjoyed more, and I liked that it was just about me. My friends had more fun too because we didn't have to watch out for little kids. We could go crazy on the bounce house and slide. When Dad found out about the party, he got so mad. His wife was angry that I didn't save the experience to share with my stepbrother and half-sister. My mom told Dad to leave me out of it, and she should never have tried to keep the peace for my sake by listening. He said parties should include my siblings. She said not when they're at their house and for me and my friends. Dad told me he's disappointed I couldn't embrace sharing parties with my siblings and chose my mom to have my 15th party. Am I the jerk? I don't know if I would ever want to legitimately interact with anybody that would say OP is the jerk here. I think just about everybody is entitled to have a birthday party of their own if they want to have a birthday party. Depriving the kids of their own special day in favor of having this joint thing, unless financially you literally cannot do anything else, is just such an awful thing to do to your kids. They deserve to have their own moment of recognition. Even Budget 2078 commented, not the jerk. OP, your dad and stepmom are being ridiculous. Your mom is awesome for realizing her mistake and giving you a proper birthday party. Your 15th birthday party? That your dad wanted you to have a joint party with an 11 and 5-year-old? Get out of here with that nonsense. I'm glad your mom did right by you, and I hope you have an even more awesome 16th birthday party. SwimChemicals345 commented, totally not the jerk, OP. If your dad and stepmom want your step and half siblings to celebrate your birthday with you, then it's at dad's house party. At mom's house, it's only family and friends from your mom's house. Well, almost totally not the jerk. You're the jerk for not inviting me to your awesome fun party. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not helping my dad's wife during my mom's parenting time? My dad and his wife are expecting a baby together. She has a 10-year-old daughter already. Dad has me, 16-year-old male. They've been together for about 7 years and married for 4. It's been 5.5 of knowing them for me. I don't like my dad's wife. I find her really bad with respecting boundaries and overly pushy. When she was still only dating my dad, she showed up to be a parent chaperone for my class field trip, even though she and dad knew mom was doing it and I had already said no to her. She kept trying to make me walk closer to her than my mom too. When I ignored her mostly, she got really peevy about it. Dad told me I could have appreciated that she wanted to be there for me. When they were engaged, she made me come dress shopping with her and kept pushing for me to give feedback on the dress. I said repeatedly I didn't care. She told me I should help my new bonus mom find the perfect dress. I pulled a disgusted face and she asked what was that for. I told her she wasn't my bonus mom and I hated that title. She told me she doesn't want to be my stepmom. She wants to be my bonus, aka second mom, and I didn't have to like it, but I had to lump it, and one day I'll love her back. When schools were virtual because of COVID and I had to go to my grandma's house while mom worked, she showed up at grandma's house and tried to take me to her and dad's house. My grandma threatened to call the police on her because she wasn't supposed to be there. A few times she brought her daughter to try and make us give in. Didn't work. So yeah, I don't like her. I just about tolerate her, but I don't care about her at all, and I'm not super worried for her now. Her pregnancy is high risk and she was diagnosed with a pretty risky illness/condition. It's her kidney and something else. But after she found out she was pregnant, she started getting really sick, and this diagnosis makes the pregnancy high risk too. She goes to the hospital 3 times a week for treatment and has to stay in bed when at home. When dad has parenting time, he makes me get lunch ready for me, his wife, and her daughter, and I'm supposed to see if she needs anything. I do it as a chore, not because I care, but now they expect me to go to his house for a bit after school when it's mom's parenting time and make lunch for her and her daughter. I refused and mom had my back. Dad told me I should be doing more to help because this is my family and my unborn half-siblings at risk, and my bonus mom. When I didn't give in, Dad told me I should be more mature and understand compassion and helping family. Am I the jerk? I just feel like this whole thing is not fair to OP. I feel like OP's not the jerk and they shouldn't have to feel obligated to do this. Astroblems commented, not the jerk. It's not your responsibility to take care of your stepmom and her daughter. You are not a parent, and at your age, you should still be able to be a kid. Forget that whole be mature nonsense. There must be others who can help, or they can hire someone, worst case. Our next story is, am I the jerk for letting my son manscape when my wife doesn't want him to? I'll try to keep it short. My wife and I have 3 boys, 17, 16, and 14. May the Lord have mercy on my soul. Actually, they are good guys. I was at Target with my youngest, Tanner. We split for a while and he shows back up asking if he could buy something with his own money. It was a beard trimmer. I laughed and told him he didn't need that yet. He explained, nope, not for his face. He wanted it for downstairs. His older brothers both manscape and he wanted to as well, but they wouldn't loan their trimmers. I told him sure, I'd even buy it for him. Got home and wife was not impressed. She didn't want him to have it. One excuse after the other. He's not old enough. Sure he is. He didn't need it yet. Okay, true, he's not exactly taming a jungle, more like a small hedge. But if he wants to neaten things up, that's fine by me. I don't want more hair all over the bathroom. Non-issue. The boys keep their bathroom clean. While me, Tanner, and the oldest Liam are pretty smooth, middle boy Lucas somehow got the gorilla gene. He was Sasquatch at 14. If he's not causing a problem, no one will. I told him he could keep the trimmer, but wife seems pursed. I did remind him to keep the bathroom free of little hairs. Get brother's help or advice if needed, or me, and don't make the mistake of going all Kojak below the belt. Liam made that mistake a couple of years ago with much itching. So, am I the jerk for disregarding my wife's opinion? Update. Thanks everyone, I'm overwhelmed by all the comments. I only expected a few views and responses. I appreciate all who commented. I read them all even if I couldn't reply back to each. All's good here. Last night I talked with my wife. As many theorized, she's just wistful that the last baby bird is growing up, although all are still in the nest. She knows none of them will be little boys forever, but she was and is such a good boy mom that she's missing those times already, and had a not so great reaction. That's all there is to it, thankfully. As for Tanner, I went up to the oldest's room where all three were hanging out. You never know where the posse of hooligans will be. Tanner said, "Check it out," stood up and dropped his shorts in a flash, and yep, the hedge clippers had been at work. I told him, "Great job, looks good." He said Liam had to do most of it. Liam shrugged. I'm very blessed that they all get along so well, and that the older two are excellent big brothers, most of the time. To a couple of people who DM'd me, no, none of us are nudists or anything like that, but they're definitely those never wear shirts guys, and when getting ready to go out, you never know which one or ones will be in the shower. The guys are just self-assured, maybe too much, and not a shy bone in their bodies. Years ago, twice, my oldest, who had long hair then, went as Tarzan for Halloween, and my middle boy once went to a neighborhood costume contest as Michael Phelps in nothing but a Speedo and 8 gold medals around his neck, and this was years after Phelps won. They keep me young and make me very tired at the same time. Thanks everyone. Well, I was glad that things were going in a positive direction in the update until things got extremely weird right at the end there. Honestly, even if that happened, I don't feel like OP needed to include the detail about how their kid showed them their landscaping. Anyways, personally, I just feel like if they want to do that, that's just an extension of personal hygiene, and assuming they say, yes, I have a reason for it and I want to do this, I'd say it's kind of ridiculous to say, no, you can't do it just because I don't want you to. It would just be flat out weird if your kid is finally at that stage where they want to do some more hygiene down there, and your parents are trying to control what is going on there. Enough said. Extinct Diplodocus commented, "Not the jerk. Your son wants to do it, and it's harmless, it's just hair. It would be nice if your wife would come clean with the actual reason she's opposed. Does she regularly inspect that area and wants it looking natural? If not, all of her stated reasons are suspicious." OP responded saying, "No inspections, the boys aren't particularly shy, at all actually, but it's not like she sees them naked all that often. I think it's just because he's the baby of the bunch, doesn't want him to grow up, or even feel older herself." Our next story is, am I the jerk for giving a friend a bill after hosting him? A friend came to visit my country for 10 days and stayed with me and my partner. To show his gratitude, he brought us 4 bottles of wine, around 6 to 8 euros each. We drove him for over 1,000 kilometers for a few days to take him on adventurous trips around the country. It's usually expensive to rent a 4x4 and hire a tour guide here. We were essentially his driver, tour guide, and host. We prepared a guest room for him with toiletries in his own bathroom, made all bookings, and prepared camping gear for him. I thought the wine he brought would even out our service for him, and we picked him up at the airport at 4:30 a.m. to be a good host. However, every time I took out my card to pay for our meals, he sat silently. I was happy to treat him for the first meal or two as a host, but after like 6 days, like 7 meals, his silence unsettled me. The same when we had to pay for attractions, gas, or groceries. No thank you, no offering, nothing, just sat silently. I admit I was never upfront with him about finances. I just assume as an adult in his 30s with a professional job in Germany, he would offer to pay for his share, chip in, or take turns to pay for meals. He also never mentioned paying us back for the hotels we paid for him. I consulted him on the prices before booking, so he should know what he had to pay. He only brought $200 cash here, and his hotels were already over $200. He didn't seem to plan to pay us back in cash. I was antsy. He also rented a sedan for city sightseeing in between, but the car rental was at the airport. We gave him a ride to the airport at first, and he hinted that he wanted more rides from us to take him home after he dropped off the car, and a ride to the airport for his 4:20 a.m. flight. I told him to take a taxi. It's less than 6 euros. On his last day, a few hours before he flew, he still mentioned nothing. We presented him with a bill for his hotel, meals, and groceries. He seemed taken aback. We told him we spared the gas in exchange for his wine. Am I the jerk for giving him a bill that listed out all of his expenses? As a host, I should be more gracious or upfront if I were transactional, but his silence, not even a thank you, upset me and made me give him a bill. This person is not close to me. We met on a trip 8 years ago and hadn't seen each other for 6 years. He was interested in seeing my country. Edit, a lot of you asked why I paid for his hotel up front. We got special discounts as residents, so it had to be under our name. And in another booking, we not only got a resident discount, but also added him to our room, an extra bed, so we could save more. I communicated clearly, told him we got him a discount, and he asked how much the rooms cost. He knew he had to pay. On day 6, we asked him how he would pay us back for the hotels after knowing he didn't have the cash for us. He said transfer. We hoped he would take the initiative to make the transfer before we left, but he stayed silent the whole time until we asked again on his last day. My partner and I felt it's bad manners to make the host ask you twice about payment, so we ended up being blunt with him about the bill to draw boundaries. As for meals, we often ordered a family plate or a few dishes to share, so it's hard to have a separate bill. I didn't invite him to come. He saw my photos on social media and planned to come with his girlfriend, but then they broke up and he came alone. If they were 2 people coming, it's more obvious that we would split bills 50-50, and they wouldn't have stayed with us for this long. We felt pity for him after his breakup and wanted to be nice. So I feel like the major problem here is you brought him in, you were showing them all of this hospitality, you never talked about it, you never addressed it. Maybe this guy thought you were just being incredibly generous and hospitable. I mean, I guess you can be upset about them not jumping in and offering themselves, and honestly, they probably should have. But at the same time, is it fair to just send a bill out of the blue and say, come on, pay your fair share, when you never mentioned it at any point along the way? And Bop Bop Doo-Wop commented, you kept paying and never brought it up for 10 days and then presented him with a bill. He may have found it odd as well, but perhaps assumed it was a cultural thing that you wanted to pay and considered it part of hosting. You said you'd bring out your card and then look at him. Easy to interpret that as, I've got this, rather than, last chance to jump in and pay instead. Everybody sucks here for not just talking about it. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.